Hello there, my name is Gordon McCrory. I am the Happiness Guy, and this is a video on meditation, some of my experiences kind of with meditation and some kind of hints and tips, and also dispelling a few myths. So let's get straight into that. So what is maybe kind of the number one myth in and around meditation is that it's really to stop thinking. That's the purpose of it. And so whenever any of us try to meditate, and we sit down and it's kind of quiet, give it a few seconds and our brain throws a thought in, and then in another few seconds here's another one, and we just kind of, especially in the beginning, we just can't stop our thinking. Our brain is used to thinking and thinking and thinking, and the more thoughts we're having, the worse we are clearly at stopping thinking. So the more we think meditation's just not for me, I'm not any good at that. But what I would say is that the busier your mind is, the more you need meditation, because with practice and with time, it really will quieten your mind. And that gives a sense of peace and a sense of calm, because it's exhausting to have thought after thought after thought after thought, and to not have control of those thoughts either. So it's not to stop thinking, but over time, it will help really slow your mind down and give you far more clarity. So it's an opportunity to almost unplug from everything, to get away from the pace of life and the relentless nature of life, and to just get a little bit of silence, to slow down and just to slow your breathing down a little bit. That can be kind of really useful just to calm you down. In addition, meditation is really good for awareness. It's like, right, well, how am I feeling, for example? So you could just ask a question at the outset of a meditation session. How am I feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally? And you do one at a time, and you think, right, physically, how am I feeling? And you scan your body and you go, oh, my kind of neck's a little bit tight, or my lower back's a little bit sore. No, actually, I feel kind of pretty good. I'm kind of quite well. I'm well energized. I'm feeling physically in no pain. I'm feeling good. And then you could say, well, mentally, how am I feeling? And for me, when I'm looking at mentally, how am I feeling, there's kind of two components. It's how busy is my mind? So it's kind of useful to just check in on that. Because if it's too busy, there's things I can do to slow it down, such as more meditation. But maybe another way would be, well, I'm just going to write everything down after my meditation session. My head's really busy. I'm going to write it all down and see if that helps. Or another aspect in terms of mentally, how am I feeling mentally, is what are the quality of my thoughts like? Are they quite optimistic or are they quite pessimistic? Which kind of leads to emotional as well, I guess. And that's, what other feelings have I got going on? Am I feeling loved? Am I feeling connected? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling, how am I feeling? So it's this opportunity to check in with yourself. And one of the things that people underestimate hugely is the relationship, their own relationship with themselves. And I think meditation's a brilliant way to practice just having a little bit of time for yourself. And just off on a kind of side note, let's say it wasn't meditation. Let's say you didn't want to call that, because a lot of people don't like calling it meditation. Let's say you sat down in silence for a couple of minutes with a cup of tea and just sipped the tea and enjoyed the tea and focused on the tea. That's kind of meditation. You know, it's just, you just don't know it as that. So I think that it's very good for your relationship with yourself and just seeing where you're at any given point in time. And then based on the answers to that, you could then think, well, what one thing could I do that would help me feel better? And you do that at the end of meditation. You think, right, well, I could do this because it's physically, that's the most important thing. Or I could do this because my head's really busy. Or I could do this because that'll help me feel better emotionally. It helps us control our focus and attention. And why that's really useful is if you can't control your focus and attention, then obviously working effectively, well, that's going to be much harder, because you're going to be jumping from one thing to another. And that's very much a consequence of an overstimulated brain. If you can't control your own focus and attention, then whatever thought comes up is going to drive you, and that thought is going to then generate a feeling, and that feeling is going to generate another thought. And so you're really not in control of your own life if you're not in control of your own mind. And so I say that there's this real distinction. There's people that are in control of their own mind, and they can control their own life. And then there's people whose minds are in control of them, and they're kind of out of control, and it's not pleasant. So I think that meditation helps you have this ability to control where your focus goes, and that makes a massive difference. And again, controlling where your focus goes, whatever you focus on grows in your life. So if you're focusing on negative stuff, you're going to experience a lot more negative emotions. But if you can take your mind off of that and think, well, I'll put it over here and point it at something positive, then you could have a much better experience of life as a result of being able to control your own mind. And a little bit with that in mind is another thing that meditation does better than anything else that we know is it shrinks a region of the brain responsible for the amount of stress that we're experiencing. So it shrinks in a region called the amygdala. It shrinks, it makes it smaller, and it loosens its ties to control other areas of the brain, actually putting you back in charge of your own life. So you'd experience less stress, there'd be less cortisol, a stress hormone going through your system, less adrenaline. So it's a great stress reduction technique that over time, and this is what I'm benefiting from now, over time means that imagine you didn't have any more negative self-talk. Imagine you never thought anymore, I'm such a fat whatever, or I'm absolutely useless, or kind of I'm not worthy of love, or I'm not as good as everybody else, or I'm an imposter. Imagine you didn't have all these negative thoughts, because that's what meditation's brought me. It doesn't mean to say that I'm not in any way lacking awareness of my weaknesses, and I'm working on them, but they're no longer character assassinations coming from this part of my mind. So I think for me, meditation's been life-changing, meditation has been life-changing. It's more important than anything else that I do because it almost underpins everything else that I do. So actually learning to develop the skill of meditation has been more important than, say, something like an honours degree in exercise and health science, which underpins my working practices. But without meditation, I'd be far more flaky, far less driven, far more internal turmoil, and nobody wants a kind of coach that hasn't got their own shit together, for lack of a better expression. So I think kind of meditation is going to allows me to be this one complete human that's not pulled and their mind going one way and their heart going another way, but instead it's like everything's together. This is where we're going. This is how we're going to do things. I'm going to stop rabbiting on, but I hope this has been useful for you. As places to start with meditation, the Daily Calm is really good, Headspace is really good, and kind of there's another app I use called Insight Timer, so apps are really good, but maybe you just want to sit in silence for a few minutes and pay attention to your breathing. And a couple of other quick tips: don't judge yourself. You're just learning, you're really a novice at this, so it's about observing kind of what's going on in your mind more than trying to stop what's going on. So just sit and observe, be curious and be non-judgmental. You're not trying to do it really, really well. You're just trying to practice a little bit and see how you get on and see what you notice. So I hope this has been useful for you. Love to hear your thoughts. And if there's anything that I've spoken about in the video that resonates and you'd like a little bit more help with, don't hesitate to get in touch. Take care and thank you. Bye-bye.